Hi, and welcome to In the Front Row, all things news, reviews, and interviews. Hi, and welcome, gentle travellers. My name's Jamie Lee, and today I'll be doing a review of the Moon Knight series streaming on Disney+. Before I get started, I want to apologise if I say anything wrong in this video. I have no experience with dissociative identity disorder, and I don't want my lack of knowledge to come across as insulting or arrogant. But I've got an opinion on this series and I feel it's only fair that I'm able to share that. So that's what I'm here to do. So I went into this series completely blind. I haven't read the comics. I knew nothing about the Moon Knight character. I barely passed ancient history, so Egyptian mythology really isn't my thing. And if I'm being perfectly honest, when I watched the trailer, I didn't really like it. It was a little bit too horror for me and I didn't really want bird baddies in my nightmares.
Sleep. I'm never going to go to sleep again. You hear me?
But it's a Marvel character, so was I gonna watch it? Hell yeah. So I watched it, I'm confused as hell, I'm hurt, and I wish I hadn't have watched it for those reasons, but at the same time I can appreciate some of the good things that are in the series as well. I feel like including mental health issues in superhero shows or movies is not a new thing. Tony Stark suffered from PTSD, we got to see a little bit of that, and they still built an entertaining franchise around him. With Wanda, she suffered from bereavement or grief disorder, and there was a whole series built around that. And it was entertaining. And in Loki, we see him be more than just this funny, mischievous, power-seeking god. He addresses his mental health issues, the need for worthiness and the need for acceptance, and we explore why he does the things that he does. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is that mental health issues in these shows is not new.
Yeah.
And I think that being inclusive is important. It helps to relate to the audience and it helps for us to relate to the characters as well. But I feel like this show just dove right into the disorder, that it spent all its time trying to flesh out these different personalities. And we didn't even get to see all of the personalities, but that made it so confusing and so underwhelming, and overall just a really sad series.
Yes, bloody yes.
And I watch these types of superhero shows to escape reality and to be entertained and to escape that real life sadness. So when it was thrown in your face and it just stayed there, you can't really escape that. And it would be okay if there was some sort of closure, but I feel like there wasn't closure with this series. I feel like I left with more questions and nothing was really answered for me.
I don't know how to explain what's been happening.
I thought we were heading in the way of closure when Stephen died and Marc finally acknowledged his past and admitted that he needed help, or admitted that he had an illness at least, and he accepted his past. But then they had him go and revive Stephen, and I just think, isn't that going backwards? I feel like in a weird way, Marc was getting an intervention at the asylum. Whether or not Harrow was manipulating his reality there or not, I feel like he made a breakthrough by acknowledging his pain and his past. But then they just keep the two personalities, like everything's okay now because there's a logical reason as to why Marc made up Stephen. And there was a logical reason as to why Marc created Stephen. But why did Marc create Jake? Couldn't we have been introduced to Jake during this time instead of bringing back Stephen as another personality? We learn a lot about this disorder, but we could learn how much more complex it is by learning about the other personality. Because that's what it is, right? Multiple personalities for Marc as a coping mechanism. They fleshed out Stephen and that took, 6 episodes. Is Jake gonna have 6 episodes so that we can explore his relationship with Marc or his relationship with Stephen, whoever ended up creating him? I just don't understand why you would introduce him in the post-credit scene if there's not going to be a season 2 for us to explore this other personality. This was such a wasted opportunity to really tackle the whole disorder and the multiple personalities when really we only learn about one character and their alter personality.
That's worth exploring, isn't it?
And I know I'm going off the rails here a bit, but why did Marc's scales balance when there was 3 personalities in there and only 2 of them were resolved? Is that because Marc was shot and Marc created Stephen? Whereas if Stephen was out and Stephen got shot, then that would bring Jake to balance with him or something? Did Stephen create Jake? I don't know. I'm so confused. Anyway, I get that they included the mental health aspect of this character, but where is this character? Like, I haven't seen enough of Moon Knight. I haven't read the comics. I don't know what he can do. I don't know what he's capable of. Like, I don't know anything. And sure, we've seen their cool outfits and the, moon weapons, which look great, but I don't know what he's capable of doing. And I'm never shown that because when we think we're going to see it, whether it's Stephen or Marc, they black out and then we just see the aftermath of what Moon Knight did. And we see that from Stephen's perspective. And I don't think that's very fair. Like, I want to see it. Well, I'm a visual learner, so I want to see lots of things, but I want to see a perspective. Like, I want to see this character. That's why I'm watching this show, to see Moon Knight.
What are you?
And I'm not seeing it. And that was really disappointing to me. Then there's the whole origin, how Stephen, the figment of Marc's imagination, was created. And that was way too real and way too dark for me. As a primary school teacher who loves kids, as a mother who adores her kid, that abuse was just heartbreaking. And we've seen some pretty heartbreaking stuff in Marvel shows and series. I mean, Tony Stark died, for God's sake. That was heartbreaking. But this takes it to a whole nother level. And I just feel like no amount of humor, no amount of good visuals, and no amount of perfect acting, which it was, can make that any less hurtful or could make me want to watch that. And that's not just because it's children. I'm talking about even with Stephen's character, when Marc said to him,
You're not meant to see that. That's the whole point of you.
That's the whole point of you. It's just so sad, and it imitates real life way too much, and it is way too dark for something that I just wanted to be entertained by a superhero series. And I'm so sorry to say that, I don't want that sort of stuff or the mental health or the sadness in there, but I don't. It's too dark. It's too much for me. And although it doesn't sound like it, there was a lot of good stuff that I did appreciate in this series. I think it was visually beautiful to watch. Like, I really enjoyed the scenes where Moon Knight was flying across the city and, fighting the monster, and then he got impaled and the moon happened to be there in every shot. It was really nice, and I really liked the Egyptian sort of landscape. But my favorite thing was like the reflection scenes and how creative they were with them. There was the reflections with the mirror, which was the obvious thing. And then there was also reflections with like the puddle and the knife. And it was just really cool to see how they showed the two different personalities in the one scene. And I laughed a lot when I didn't expect to in this series. Scenes like this.
Can he hear me?
Alexander, I don't think so. God, I hope not. Look, I don't care how bloody handsome you are. I'd be thrilled. I shit myself, but I'd be thrilled. No prizes. Guessing whose room this is? Yours. Funny.
And then there were some really witty scenes that I laughed at, like when the Wake Me Up Before You Go song was playing and Stephen was waking up in and out of consciousness. That was really funny. And then other super witty lines like these ones.
But you're not alone.
Yeah, it's like part of the problem, isn't it?
And then the stupid stuff like Khonshu referring to Stephen as the worm and Layla as the scarab or the bug throughout, like the bird eats the worm sort of thing, like Khonshu is a god and he's like above, everybody. I don't know. I just really liked it. And then you have the actors who were fantastic in this. Obviously, Oscar Isaac was just phenomenal in this. No compliment that I could give would do justice as to how good he was. He just went to a whole nother level.
Oh, mate, thank you. Oh, thanks. Cheers.
So I watched it. I can't say that I enjoyed it. I have a whole bunch of questions. And if you have any of the answers to the questions, please leave them in the comments because I'm still so confused by this and I'm still so frustrated. But I know that I'm going to see Moon Knight again at some point in the MCU somewhere. So I just hope that the next time that I do, I'm not left feeling underwhelmed, confused, and a little bit disappointed.
No, well, a bit late for that, isn't it?
So I'm sorry that this video was basically a rant, but if you're still here, can you please subscribe to my channel and then head on over to my Instagram and give me a follow over there as well, please. Okay, later Gators.